Hello everyone, welcome to my first ever interview. Today I'm with one of the most known builders of the 2B2T community, Space Valkyria 3, the Land, the Ceasefire. He built all of those bases. I'm talking about Jacktherippa'S. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Not much really going on today.
First of all, I want to clarify that this interview will be more focused on the last 2 years, so you won't have to repeat what you said in the Anarchy podcast interview.
All right.
With that being said, can you quickly introduce yourself?
Well, I'm the guy that everybody attributes all this really cool stuff to. I throw blocks together and I enjoy doing it. That's about really all there is to me.
Okay.
I'm Jack the Ripper.
Okay, so we can start. The first part is about Space Valkyria 3.
Yes.
To prepare for this interview, I watched your last interview when nobody knew about the second site of Space Valkyria 3. How did you feel when people talked about Space Valkyria 3 and were wondering what will be your next build? So when
it was
the time,
interesting. Oh, I'm sorry. Ask again.
At the time, you knew that Space Valkyria 3 wasn't done. There was the second site.
It was funny to me because I knew, I knew, and nobody else knew that I had this really cool thing that I was still working on. And everybody just kind of thought, well, Jack is just, he's gone off somewhere, I guess. Nobody really stopped to think, well, what if there is another one? Or what if I've got, whatever. Part of me wanted to tell them, part of me wanted to, gloat, because I had apparently managed to avoid Nerds Inc. finding out where I lived, pretty much. And I knew that if I didn't keep it a secret, if I wasn't careful, it would be over soon. Of course, it ended up getting found anyway, so it didn't really matter. But I was very happy that there was nobody made any real effort to try and find me, and nobody could really figure out what had happened. Everybody was just kind of like, well, it's over, we'll just have to wait for his next big project. And I'm like, little do you know. It's just fun to know things that other people don't know. And then when you can show them, you just kind of blow their minds. It's fun.
Was it hard to keep the secret?
Oh, yes. I did tell a few people, and they were, as far as I could tell, they kept it secret.
Speaking of
Mm-hmm.
the nerds, it's surprising that they didn't find you at the time using the Nocom exploit.
I went into a secret alt that nobody knew about.
Oh, yes.
Onto a secret account so that I would not be tracked. I figured when it happened, I don't know how, but I just kind of always thought, what if they can tell where I am? Or what if they know I'm online and so they're looking for me? But what if they don't know I'm online? What if I just fly under the radar for the next year or two? Would that help? And the answer was yes, it definitely helped. If I had continued on my main, they would have found me again.
Okay. And in 2020, when you were building at the second site, you have planned for the base in 1.12. Is the actual base that you're building on stream very far from what you planned back in 2020?
Not too far. The most interesting thing that we thought we were getting was 1.13. And the only thing that added that was really interesting was bubble columns. And so I incorporated bubble columns ahead of time into the base layout. But not particularly. There wasn't anything introduced in 1.14 or 1.15 that really just changed everything. No. the base could be made in 1.12, even as it is. I don't know where you would get the materials, but you could do it.
Okay, this question is a quick reminder for our viewers. How did the base finally get discovered? I'm still talking about the second side. And
Yes.
Are you still mad at Dokugandel?
I guess I'm a little mad at him because he broke his promise. He said he would not tell anyone, and then he went and made videos about it. He tried streaming at the base, I think once, and he just, in general, he wasn't very trustworthy. So it got found by pure luck. They figured, or they didn't figure anything out. They just took a wrong turn, and there they were. They were at my base, and nobody could have anticipated that. I don't think, if I had known it was going to happen, I could have maybe introduced myself to Dokugandel and like offered to guide them to the third place and been like, yeah, I'll give you a special interview and I'll give you a tour of the ruins. And that might have like thrown them off the trail, because then I could have ensured they didn't get lost. But I didn't even know he existed. So how could I have known or prepared for a random encounter that just so happened to be the end of my base, you know?
Yes.
And then after they found us, it was too dangerous to stay there, and so we abandoned the site entirely. And then he made a video in July of 2020 saying, you know, this is Space Valkyria 3, look what I found. And we very quickly had to just try to discredit it and be like, no, that's not real. I even told them that if you can wait 6 or 8 months and let the heat die down, because they, of course, advertised it on the Reddit and made everybody aware that this was a thing. If they had just kept quiet, maybe I could have gone back to it and tried to do more work on it. But the rumor was out there at that point. It was too late.
Okay.
It was going to be found again, one way or another. And then a bunch of people sent Baron Dome a world download about February, or no, it was January of this year. They sent Baron Dome this world download, which was obviously more advanced than anything that had been publicly made available. And Baron Dome himself was like, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, I saw he made a stream on it.
He made a video. So, I mean, that was it. That was the nail in the coffin. Once he made that video, there was no hope of ever returning.
That was the end?
Yes. It was already basically dead because of the Turks, but like if they had just kept quiet, if they could have kept themselves, you know, restrained, maybe we could have gone and done something more. But in the end, I think it worked out because I don't think I could have built that whole city, at least not what I've built so far. I don't think I could have done that in survival mode without, you know, creative mode and all the resources. I don't know that it would have been possible.
It will have taken years.
It would have taken 5 or more years to build all of that. I would have needed duplication exploits. I would have needed stashes. I would have needed contacts with people. People would have had to have been partially aware, you know, who is this person wanting all this quartz? Like, inevitably somebody would probably have started looking around too. That's the other thing. I don't think people are that stupid. Someone would have started asking questions. Somebody would have noticed something odd. At some point, I think someone would have pieced things together. I can't say when. I don't know how things would have gone down, but nothing stays a secret forever. That's what I've learned from 2B2T. You can never keep everything a secret forever. And so you're gonna get found sooner or later.
Okay, next question. What's your favorite part in Space Valkyria 3 today?
Ooh, I really like the art gallery that I had at the very bottom of the base. I'm sad that I never got to place map arts in it when it was on 2B2T, just because, you know, all the map art was destroyed, and then they kept getting reset over and over, and there was just never any chance to like make it happen. Bargaining for map arts and you know, buying map art, you know, there was a lot of really good stuff that came out over the years, but none of it would have been even remotely, you wouldn't have been able to have it for very long. It would have gone bye-bye in overnight. And as many duplication exploits that came out over the course of Space Valk 3's lifespan on 2B2T, people were resetting maps like crazy. And so I never really got to enjoy that part of my base. So I wish I could have. That definitely was my favorite location.
Okay. On your Discord, on your Twitter, there are many fan arts of Space Vault 3 or builds inspired of Space Vault 3.
Mm-hmm.
How do you live the fact that of being an inspiration for a lot of builders and young kids and...
I love it. I love that there are things that I've done that I can point to and go, yeah, millions of people have seen this and they love it. And this inspired this person over here to make their own version of it. And maybe it's not very good. Maybe it's really good. Maybe it's somewhere in between. Whatever. It got you to do something. I'm happy that I was able to influence someone to, I don't know, try to push themselves. Make something cool. Like, at the end of the day, as someone who makes something, I like seeing things that are cool. I like seeing other people make cool things. And so if I can help push that along and make people make cool things, I'm all for that. Yeah, it's a fun experience to go, yeah, wow, I've influenced people. I can't believe it. It's a surreal experience. It doesn't feel like it's really happened, like it's maybe just a dream. But it really has. Like, I really have inspired people, and I'm happy about that.
And how did you start streaming on Space Valkyria?
I initially wanted to stream because I didn't have a hard connection, an Ethernet connection to my house's internet. For many years, I was just using Wi-Fi, and that was fine. And I never expected the Wi-Fi to be a problem. And so I wanted to stream on my Realms Anarchy server first, because that was what I was actively building on, and I was kind of like losing focus on my Realms. So I thought, well, if I stream the Realms, you know, the people who like that will maybe, you know, inspire me, or I can, you know, kind of get a kick in the pants, keep going. And obviously that didn't happen. And streaming on Wi-Fi is never a good idea. It never pans out. Wi-Fi is just not meant for streaming. And so I ended up asking for a hard wire connection to my house's internet. And my family was like, all right, yeah, we'll get it for you. And so it ended up being a much more faster, much better connection. And yeah, it worked out much better. And so I was like, well, in the meantime, I can't really stream what I was doing, which was hardcore, or not hardcore, Skyblock Anarchy. I couldn't do that. I didn't really have the idea to do hardcore yet. And so I was like, well, what's something I know people want to see? Something that I know people are familiar with. Oh yeah, Space Valkyria 3. That's the thing people want. That's what they know me for anyway. So obviously, give the people what they want. So I did. And I've really grown as a streamer, I feel.
And discreet. I didn't write that question, but have you planned to do more bases on stream, such as, you know, Ceasefire or Space Valk 1?
I definitely plan on doing Space Valk 1. It's going to be a while before I get to it. But I definitely wanted to touch up Space Valkyria 1. It has so much going for it, and it's just not... It's not finished. I was never able to finish that one. And I feel like that's something I ought to do, is I should finish that. Because that's the one that I think... I don't know. 3 and 1 are, in my opinion, they're tied for how well known they are. I can't tell you which one people know better. Now that there's a shirt, from FitMC, maybe people will know that one slightly better going forward. But at least for right now, there's a chance that, Space Valk 3 would be the bigger, better one. But when it's finished, I need something to go on to do next. And I definitely want to give Space Valk 1 the proper send-off that it deserved.
Okay, those two questions were a kind of transition to the second part. Very smart guy.
Okay.
Okay, the second part is focused on YouTube. The first question is, why did you delete your old 2B2T videos? Will you ever put them back on your channel?
Oh, I had to delete those because it occurred to me, another person in the community, Fast Vincent, ended up getting demonetized a few months ago because he'd had old videos that, admittedly, they were not 2B2T related videos, but they were kind of an edgy nature. And YouTube is just so trigger happy. It will shoot first and ask questions later. And I want to start using YouTube as my main, income source. I want to have this as my livelihood. I enjoy building things on stream and talking with people and doing that. And I would love to do that, and have that be a good, I don't want to say career, but, a good job to do. I enjoy it. I really do. And I can't have a risk like my older 2B2T videos where people were saying things in chat, like bad things happen on 2B2T. Like, I don't want that to become what's the word? I don't want that to become a risk. It's too dangerous to have things like that on your channel nowadays. Back when I made those videos, nobody cared. But now, people are all too eager to dig into your past, find anything they can find as a weapon, and then try to hurt you with it.
Yeah.
And Fast Vincent had those videos that got him demonetized. They were all long since privated. They were very old videos, too. And so, putting them back up, for me, putting my videos up, probably not. It just depends on what climate ends up turning out. If YouTube can kind of go back to being a little less restrictive and a little more open and free, which I'm not holding my breath. I'm not about to think, oh, well, it'll definitely return to the way it was. No. Like, I think the way YouTube is how it's going to be, and it's maybe even only going to get more restrictive as time goes on. I don't want it to be a risk. I can't. I'm so sorry. I enjoyed those videos. Those were fun to do. I really wish I had bought better equipment years and years ago so that I could have been doing video stuff, especially 2B2T stuff, a lot earlier. Like, it could have paid off for me. And, yeah, I don't know. Who's really to say how things might have gone, though?
Okay. You became active on YouTube, I would say, a year ago with your Anarchist Skyblock series. Now there are the Space Valk 3 streams, the Hardcore streams, and the Freeform Friday streams.
Yes.
And the shorts. What are your plans for your YouTube channel?
Well, for now, I'm going to continue just streaming like usual. I didn't really have any... I like doing Minecraft predominantly, so Minecraft will always have a home on my channel. I'll always be doing something Minecraft related, and obviously people enjoy my building, and they like seeing what I can do, so I enjoy, doing that. So I will definitely be building something at some point. There will always be a new building or a new Minecraft something or another on my stream. I really enjoy doing art. I mentioned yesterday or the day before, or actually no, it would have been Monday, in a question somebody asked if I would do singing. I might do that. I've been considering doing singing streams every now and then as well. I enjoy doing art. I'm streaming a game tomorrow, actually, that has a sort of a painting simulator. It's called Such Art Genius Artist Simulator. It's looking to be really interesting, so you can do a lot of artistic things in that. I've been thinking about doing that every now and then. I've wanted to draw my own manga for years. I've only recently kind of gotten a good idea as to what I want it to look like and how I want it to make it. And it's just other little bits of things that I've been planning like that. I've got a lot of open-ended ideas that I haven't gotten to really capitalize on yet. And in the future, you'll see more interesting stuff like that from me.
Okay. What's your favorite 2B2T channel and why?
Oh, Fast Vincent, easily. He's the only one who puts out anything even remotely accurate to how things actually were. And it's not like SalC1 doesn't try. I know he does. I just don't get the impression that Sal has the pulse of 2B2T. Vincent does. He's got this style to him. He knows how to put out information in a good manner, and he gets the ideas of 2B2T across quite well. And so I really appreciate his work.
Okay. What do you like in making videos and YouTube content?
I like having something I can look back on and just going, wow, I made that. Oh, that's pretty good. I can't believe that came out of me somehow. Where I don't understand, where did I find that ability? And yeah, like it's fun to see things that you do gain traction. And it's fun to see your work become something else, you know, because once you made something, it stops being yours. Funny enough, it will become its own thing in time. And yeah, I really enjoy seeing what some of the things I make will turn into.
I understand. What do you think of YouTube as a whole?
YouTube as a whole, it's a very harsh environment because you don't get second chances, it feels like. If you mess up, or if people don't like you, or if someone wants to cancel you, it feels a lot like you're just at the mercy of whoever. It almost feels like being an unknown person is better. Almost.
Okay. No.
I kind of wish it would be less restrictive and more open to personal opinions too, because you can't have those, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, it's still better than Twitch.
I've never been on Twitch, so I wouldn't know how bad it is there.
At least
But I believe you.
on YouTube you don't have the risk to see your password leak.
Oh, well, yeah, no, I did hear about all that.
Okay, so the third part is about 2B2T.
Mhm.
First question, what do you think about the 2B2T main server today?
I feel like it has lost what it was. It doesn't have the really interesting part to it anymore. Old 2B2T was, you didn't know who was coming for you. You didn't know what someone might be planning. And you didn't know if you'd be griefed tomorrow. And nowadays, while it feels like those are still that's still normal. That's still how things are. I feel like 2B2T today, everything is so much more homogenous, I guess, is the right word for it. The best thing I can say is you can't there's no disguising anything anymore. Back in the day, people didn't understand how Minecraft worked very well. There were a lot of, secrets about Minecraft we would not yet learn for many years. And now today you have things like the fifth column, you have no comms, you have exploits like that that are on such a huge scale that there's no hope for any sort of hiding. Back in the day when we thought that, you might get found, you don't know when your next day is, when things are going to end. You don't know how everything's going to go down. Mostly people just assumed that was because someone was going to inadvertently stumble upon whatever it was you built. Someone was going to be traveling along and they were going to find your house, and that was going to be the end of it. But nowadays, I feel like it's more a matter of people are employing such high degrees of machine learning and, bot learning and things like that. There's no, you don't have any time nowadays to do anything. People can find you so much more effortlessly now than it used to be. Back in the day, people weren't really sure what was what. I feel like most of the mysteries of today have been answered. People kind of get what all is going on 2B2T, and it really has killed the fun for me. I don't feel like I could do anything on 2B2T anymore. If I went back, for example, people would know what I'm doing. People would be like, hey Jack, what are you up to? What are you building? When's the next Space Valkyria? And so on. Yeah. And it's just like, there's no secrets anymore. There's no fun to that. You can't hide, and therefore, what's the point? You're always going to be found. You're always going to be... Someone's going to go out of their way to find you. You're stuck.
I mean...
And that's not fun. Like, people go after people whom they recognize now. A big famous name is going to attract way too much attention, and like it just isn't the same as it used to be. I liked it when you could just talk with people and it would be about the craziest stuff, and nowadays you don't know who anyone is anymore. You can't know what's going on. People are very kind of not as smart, I feel. There was an intelligence to people back in the day that just doesn't really exist anymore. People are too young compared to how they were when people were first playing on 2B2T.
Yeah, at the time the server was more mature.
Yes, the maturity level has gone down too far.
But I mean, if you came back on an unknown alt, you could play undercover for years and years.
Yes, you could, but I think eventually people would figure it out. That's the other thing. Like, I couldn't invite anyone to any bases that I go to, and I would have to basically build poorly at any base that I go to. So I would essentially have to not be me. And either that or I would get found. People would figure out over time.
Okay. So, what do you think of the 2B2T test server Have you played on it? Thoughts about it?
I've played it on it a few times. It's not bad. I was shocked when I found out that it updated to 1.17. But it doesn't seem like it's not worth it doing anything there. Everything is kind of, it feels like it's tenuous. Nobody's really certain if it's going to all go away or what the deal is. So yeah, I can't really tell you if I want to be there. It's 2B2T, I guess, but I don't know. Maybe if it sticks around, and if the test server exists for like 2 or more years, people might kind of get comfortable with going and doing things and sort of being there. But the irony is, it's a server without a queue. And the moment people go, oh wait, the test server's on the latest version, and it's not going anywhere. Well, the moment people figure that out and people start talking about it, and the longer the test server stays up on the same map, that's exactly what will happen. People will begin to start thinking about that idea. Well, the moment that happens, you're never going to be able to get into the test server, because suddenly it will be the ideal place to play. But as it stands, uncertain, the uncertainty, it's ironic. The uncertainty keeps it ideal, and the uncertainty ruins the ideal. You know?
Yes.
And so the test server is a very weird, sort of almost paradoxical thing. I couldn't tell you if it's worth being on or not.
Yes.
Part of me doesn't even want to bother trying.
You're waiting for the main server to
Right, I'm
update.
waiting for the main server to do anything, if at all. And from there, we'll see. And if it doesn't, then I guess this test server will stick around? I don't know.
Who knows?
Right.
Okay. Any thoughts on Housemaster and how he runs the server nowadays?
He runs the server about as poorly as ever, whoever he is. We're still not entirely certain that it is Housemaster, or if it's not George Bush 420, or if it's a mixture of people again. Nobody's really certain who does what. So I couldn't tell you, but again, it's slow going, and it doesn't seem like we're gonna have any different. Nothing's gonna change. So get used to things as they are, I guess.
Okay. Now, you answered this question many times on your stream, but I'm gonna ask you anyway. What is your favorite base on 2B?
Yeah, I have a different answer a lot of the times, the problem. I really loved the Drain. The Drain was such a cool idea that never got the chance to really flourish. And I would love to do something like that again. I'm really sad that we ended up showing Bedrock before we knew not to show Bedrock. And that really hurt the base. Like, I think it was either that or someone got careless, and that's how Fit found the base, and then Fit advertised it using his channel. And that was kind of the end of it. At that point, we were screwed. So something like the Drain, I really liked it, so I want to try to maybe do the Drain again, or something like the Drain, but on my own. Obviously, it would probably be hardcore, or maybe something else. We'll see. And yeah, just the Drain, but maybe with something else mixed in. Who knows? I've totally never thought about this before or anything.
Okay, we talk about the lack of maturity of the 2B community.
Yes.
So, what do you think about the ambient LARPing on 2B? Like in the feed videos, the introduction of antagonists or protagonists in the 2B history?
it's just very childish. Like, it's childish stuff that has always been there to a degree. Now, I will admit the LARPing has kind of died down recently from what I understand. People will probably always LARP because there's this attraction to the server. And there's always going to be a cool, hey, you know, this is where all this epic stuff has happened. And as long as that exists, there's always going to be a LARP. Like, even Sato himself kind of did that a lot because he enjoyed what the server stood for back in the day. And people called him out on it. People didn't like him for it, you know, whatever. You can't stop people from doing it. I personally don't like it, but, like, I'm not going to sit there and, you know, destroy someone else's fun just because they like doing something that I don't like doing. That's also very childish, getting mad about LARPing. Like, you just kind of shrug and move on.
Yes. And Fit has the voice to make LARP.
Yeah, Fit has the voice to make it work. That's the thing. Fit has very clearly been the most successful person on 2B2T, bar none. And he used 2B2T to do it. And he will continue to use 2B2T to do it until it is impossible to do. And you got to admire him. The craft is not an easy one to spin. And if you can succeed. Because there are a lot of people out there who will be upset that, oh no, how dare you succeed? Well, the moment they get the chance to succeed at something like that, don't you know they would? They would jump at that with full force. And they're just, a lot of them are mad that they can't do it. They can't be, you know, the voice of radio with, or the radio voice with this epic overtone. Like, not everybody can be Fit MC. And it's just like, well, too bad.
In this 2B2T LARP, you're often described as a good guy. Who would be your antagonist?
Tristan. Like, Tristan has made himself my antagonist on multiple occasions.
Okay.
I haven't talked with him or interacted with him since, pretty much since the grief of Space Valk 3. That was like the last time I had any contact with him.
Okay.
But it's all just a part of the silly LARP or whatever.
The fourth part is about Minecraft. Is Minecraft your favorite game? If not, what is your favorite game?
It is my favorite game, by far. It's one of the best-selling games in the world. It's one of the best-selling games in human history that has this level of potential. And that's really the thing that gets me fired up, is Minecraft has so much potential. Minecraft can give you so many outlets for creativity. It can be entire other games, like adventure maps. That is essentially just a whole other game within Minecraft, you know?
Yes.
What other game allows you to change the fundamentals of the game to be something else as you wish? Like, almost no other game will do that. And it's not poorly made. It obviously, the developers have, you know, a screw loose to some degree. They could be better, but they've proven that they can make good stuff. You know, they have potential too. If they just get their act together, maybe get out from under Microsoft's thumb, get someone to sort of crack the whip and not let them be as silly or stupid with some of their decisions, they could have a really amazing game on their hands. And it would be like, it could easily become a game that you're playing for the next 100+ years. People could be playing this game for that long or more. And that's really something. There are very few games that you can point to that people have consistently played for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Could you imagine living for most of that game's lifetime, or longer than that game, and seeing all the changes and all the hands that it went through and that it passed through, seeing all the people, all the greats who have yet to touch the game, who maybe have not even been born, and you get to see all of these things happen right before your eyes. That's something amazing. And what other thing is there that you could look at? You know, what other thing is there in human history right now that has that potential? I would say very, very little has that level of potential.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that's why I like the game. That's what I'm hoping to see in it, is that it keeps going in this direction and it doesn't suck. I want it to be amazing, because it's one of the few things that I've seen that can be amazing.
Okay. So what do you think of Microsoft's gestion of Minecraft, the merch, Bedrock Edition, but also the new updates?
Ooh, I think it's a bad business model to try and do microtransactions and things like that. Those things are great for making short-term cash, but they're terrible for the long-term lifespan of a game, because people don't like that stuff. You're chopping your game up into little bits and pieces and charging people more for the overall game, instead of having the game be packaged in one big piece that, say, you buy for $60 or something. That seems to be the going price for many new games. But you can't do that to people. People want a product, and they want it as it is, and they want the freedom to own the product as it is.
But
they don't want you to pull the rug out from under them and go, no, no, no. You get half of it now, half of it later. Three-fourths of it now, three-fourths of it later.
Yes,
that's
but
not
you get to realize that Minecraft Java Edition is a big loss of money for Microsoft, because you buy the game only once, and they keep updating the game, even though you buy it only one time. So, I mean...
Well, yes and no. How many people have bought the game who bought it early on? How many people bought the game midway through its current lifespan? Now, how many of those millions of people bought the game within the last 4 to 5 years? How many people bought the game last week? And so I don't think that's a very good argument. Yes, you have people like me who have been around for ages and have seen the game from the beginning till now. Sure. But the number of people who've been around for that long are very, very small. There are people who will always be looking for the game, or who have, you know, maybe they're just now getting back into the game and they've already bought it, or something like that. I can understand that Bedrock Edition and the microtransaction thing, it does raise money, certainly. But that cannot be the only thing, you know? Like, there's got to be other ways that are fairer and not as silly as microtransactions.
Aren't you afraid that one day there will be the big fusion between Minecraft Bedrock Edition and Minecraft Java Edition?
Oh, I'm expecting it. Like, I'm not worried about it, because there's nothing I can do about it. What's the point in worrying about something I have no power over? I know it's coming. I know it'll happen. Like, I think everybody to a degree knows that's going to happen eventually. We'll just have to kind of hope and pray that it doesn't fuck everything up.
Okay. And do you play Minecraft outside of your streams?
On occasion. I find myself doing a lot of other smaller tasks off stream, designing thumbnails, looking up music, watching other people's videos for just general things, just to kind of get inspiration and just to see what's going on out there, you know. I will occasionally do, you know, like AFK or small tasks off stream, things that I know wouldn't make for good content. But I feel like if I play off stream a lot, I'm burning potential ideas, you know? Like, it's the creation process that is important, not just the doing. If it was just the doing, I probably wouldn't be streaming Space Valk. I would probably just be giving you periodic updates like, hey, I've done this, hey, I've done that, here you go, bye. And I guess that's fine, but don't you want to be along for the journey too? So yeah, that's partly why I don't. But I do also do other small things here and there too.
Okay, so we're going through the last part of the interview. This is the question from the members of your Discord.
Okay.
You're used to the questions of your community, so you can have a very serious question as weird questions.
Yes.
I obviously didn't take all of the questions that I had on the Discord. It would have been way too many.
Oh, there are hundreds of questions, I understand. I
But
plan on answering all of those eventually.
we'll start
Maybe
with 3 questions from Buckwheat. First
Okay.
question, is gum healthy to eat on a daily basis?
Not for your teeth, because it will, you know, you've got a lot of sugar accumulating on your teeth. Now, I say this as an avid coffee and tea drinker, and that hurts your teeth over time, too, so, oh well. I don't know that the gum itself, the gum base, that, like, as long as you're not eating tons of it and swallowing tons of it, that's really not bad for you. I would just do it in moderation. I wouldn't really eat a lot.
Is cheese and chocolate a good combo?
Some people I've heard like that. I don't, personally. But, like, I can't fault you for liking it, if you like it. You know, feel free to like what you like.
Okay.
But I don't, personally.
Last question from Buckwheat.
Okay.
This question triggered me. I will tell you why. Why does brie cheese melt at room temperature? No, this triggers me because I'm French, so I
Right.
know brie very well.
It does not melt at room.
Yes,
Oh, it does?
my brie don't melt at room temperature, so I'm not sure
Okay.
what kind of brie Buckwheat is eating, but
Oh. Oh, I might know. Okay, brie is made exclusively in France, right?
possible. I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe the name brie is protected, so there is a high chance that it's made exclusively in France.
Well, I know, for example, no, not bourbon. What is it? It's made in England. It's an alcohol. It's pretty exclusive. Oh wait, wait, that's Chardonnay I'm thinking about. Chardonnay is exclusively made in France.
Yeah, like
And,
like champagne, like
Champagne, yeah, that's another one. And so, for a lot of these products, they have to freeze them to ship them.
yes,
Your brie does not melt at room temperature because it's probably made fresh, right?
yes, probably.
Okay. The odds are good. The process by which the brie is transported, if it's made exclusively in France, or maybe at a special, I don't know, maybe they buy the license to make it, whatever, I don't know. But wherever he's getting it, to ship it from point A to point B, if they freeze it, which freezing is the most popular way to ship food items, freezing damages proteins. I worked a lot in biology,
Okay.
and I'm studying a lot of biological, stuff as the disciplines that I study. And one of the biggest problems, especially if you're working with cell cultures, is that when you need to preserve a cell culture and you can't leave it at room temperature, you have to very quickly freeze, or not freeze dry, but very quickly freeze it in liquid nitrogen. The reason you do this is that you're freezing these cells and getting them down to really, really, really low temperatures really fast to prevent ice crystals from damaging the sensitive proteins in the cell membranes. Proteins in general are damaged by ice crystals. Cheese is just milk protein. It doesn't matter what kind of cheese. All cheeses are just milk proteins that have been processed by bacterial cultures to make certain textures and flavors and smells and all that. And if you freeze these things, you're changing the integrity of the cheese. If he gets it and he keeps it refrigerated, it's probably fine. But if it's allowed to come to room temperature, brie, when your native brie probably doesn't melt at room temperature, but you still can't get too high beyond room temperature before it starts to melt, right?
Yes.
Yes. Like, say, for example, if you hold it in your hand, body temperature is probably enough to start melting it. Chocolate is that way. This is how the fats and the proteins are just structured. They've probably been changed over time. Maybe this is not even fresh brie that Buckwheat has gotten hold of. I don't know. I don't even know where he lives. Just sometimes to ship something, you change its nature. And I know that a lot of native people of this or that culture, they sneer at these things that have to be transported, and I don't blame them. But at the same time, if you don't live in that country and you aren't going to live in that country anytime soon, you don't have a choice. If you want brie, you have to get it for however you get it. However, wherever it is, you're stuck. And so, yeah, like it may melt at room temperature for him. It may be of low quality. That's just what you have to deal with sometimes.
Okay, we're done with the questions from Buckwheat.
Okay.
Now, this is the question from Long Arm Puff.
All right.
He asked many questions.
Oh, would he ever?
But I keep only 4 questions.
Sure.
The first one is, who's Cancer-chan?
Cancer Chan was someone who was drawn to the server because of the Russia invasion. And he met Snacky North, a friend of mine, and he pretended to be a girl. Initially, I think he did it as a joke, but it got out of hand, and Snacky just believed that he was. And he took advantage of Snacky, and he ended up almost getting to a very important base, Aureus. And basically, he wasn't a very good person. He didn't really care about Snacky all that much.
Okay. Second question is, what did you do before you found MC in your free time?
Before I found Minecraft, I predominantly played a lot of emulator games from the PlayStation, the Super Nintendo, just all of that time. I loved a lot of games from my childhood, so I was just mostly playing those. And then in addition, I would also do pixel art on the side. And yeah, that was the main thing that I liked doing, and Minecraft kind of got all of those things. It tickled all of the right things. It fulfilled me.
Okay. So when you were young, you were a Nintendo supporter?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I do prefer Genesis, but anyway.
I never got to play the Genesis. Maybe I ought to.
Okay. Third question. Are knock-knock jokes funny?
Generally, no.
Okay.
Knock jokes. You have to be really, really clever with them to make them worth listening to. Most of the time, they're very bad, groan-worthy, you know, that sort of thing.
Okay. Last question from Long Armpuff. What is your cat's name?
Her name is Ellie. Ellie.
Okay. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions left from different members of the Discord. This first question is from player Yanku. Did you watch Space Valkyria getting rift, or did Nerds Inc. kill you when you logged on? If you did watch it get grift, what was going through your mind at the moment?
Did he mean Space Valkyria 3?
Probably. Yes, he said Space Valkyria 3.
Oh, okay, 3. Well, by the time I logged on, I had been away at work all day that day. And so by the time I logged on, they were in the middle ring, the Rainbow Road area. And when I logged on, I just started placing blocks, you know, filling in the disc, because that was what I was working on at the time. And I didn't think a thing of it, but I saw that the nerds were online and they were griefing. It was the month of May, and that was their month of terror. And now we know why. It's because that's the month they chose to grief all the coordinates that they had found out, basically. And yeah, they were... I just got this sinking feeling, wait, what if they're at my base? What if they've come for me? And so I decided to go back to the central pillar. And of course I had to cut through Rainbow Road to do that. And when I got there, there was TNT there that I know I hadn't placed. At first I thought, well, maybe a friend was, you know, a base mate was pranking me. And I walked down the left-hand side and I walked right into them. And so the nerds were right there, and that immediately triggered a fight. And I ultimately lost that fight. It was a 5-on-1. There was no way I was winning that. They all were trying to crystal me or trying to stab me with a sword. Like, there was no preparing for that. There was no getting away, no fighting. I don't think we could... Yeah, there was no way to fly. Elytra were disabled. So there was nowhere I could really run.
So
it was hopeless, pretty much.
You logged when you saw them?
No, I tried to fight them just because I didn't want to go down, you know, I didn't want to cowardly run away. I wanted to go down swinging, if anything else. But there was no hope of winning.
Yes.
So they ended up killing me.
Okay.
And then I loaded my backup pearl toward the second site about 2 or 3 hours later. And it was fine. So it was that day, as frightening as it was, that day was actually a small victory because I outsmarted them. They didn't actually know where all of my base was. They only got half of it. And they thought that was enough. And the best part was they weren't going to go looking because they didn't care. They thought they had vanquished me. It was the perfect stage, the perfect play. And so I was able to go on to a secret alt and just keep doing what I do.
Okay. Bentley asked, what's your favorite breakfast?
Ooh. I like making scrambled eggs with toast. And I put cheese into the eggs as I scramble them. And it's so good. Toast with butter on it and scrambled eggs. Oh, it's delicious. I might eat it now. Come to think of it, it's dinner time for me. And I think the kitchen is free. So I may go and do just that.
Okay. How advanced are you at other aspects of Minecraft, for example, redstone, parkour, of PvP? This is a question from JJDB.
Well, parkour I like doing, but I'm not terribly good at it. I did put some parkour elements into both Space Valk 3 and into Space Valk 1 and my hardcore, or not my hard, well, I will be putting some things in my hardcore base. Obviously, I've not started that one yet. And I put some hardcore element, or some parkour elements into my Skyblock base. And so, just in general, I really like the idea of parkour. With Elytra and with jump boost beacons everywhere, parkour is actually really fun. You can do some really cool things with it. Most people think of parkour as just jumping around. And I guess that's kind of true, but that's not everything. And so I kind of like doing that. Redstone, I love redstone. I use redstone with everything. I've made lots of redstone contraptions. I haven't had the infrastructure in hardcore, and I don't really feel like making too many different redstone machines on Space Valk 3. So I've kind of not been doing a whole lot of redstone stuff lately, but I do like a good redstone machine that just works. That's really cool, really functional. That's the type of stuff that I like. I've been making redstone machines since like 2011. And then since Pistons came out, pretty much. And then lastly, PvP. I'm not very good at PvP at all. I can keep myself alive and stay safe on a hardcore world just fine. It's... Fighting other players is always nerve-wracking for me. And then the thought of losing all my hard work, all the items that I've worked for, I guess if I were to like get the drop on somebody and use a potion of the Turtle Master and then an end crystal, like maybe I could kill someone really fast without them knowing or without them being able to anticipate it. But overall, PvP's just not my cup of tea. I've just never really liked PvP.
And do you prefer all the 1.8 PvP, or are you happy with the new PvP
I've never cared for PvP in any way.
Okay.
None of it has ever mattered to me. So, funny enough, when they ruined PvP, quote unquote, I didn't care because I had my Elytra and I was like, oh, this is so fun. Forget PvP, like I can just fly around, forget that, that's so much better.
Yes, and to be honest, 1.9 PvP is just more fun than 1.8 PvP. There is new things.
Crystal PvP has actually, honestly, no, I take that back. Now that I think about it, that's right. 1.9 PvP, even though I don't like it, I prefer it because you can kill people or you will die very quickly. This is something people don't realize. 1.8 PvP and earlier took hours.
Yeah.
Hours to finish.
Back then, the nut chapels were so OP.
And the amount of armor. If you could carry around a shulker box and protection. Protection received a giant nerf in 1.9. Notch apples received a fairly large nerf. And you had to sort of time your hits a little better. At least with Crystal PvP, it's over and done. So it's not so bad. But sitting there for hours, wailing on somebody with your sword, hoping their armor will break. Could you imagine if you could have a shulker box full of armor that you would just pop down, pull the armor out before your opponent could steal the box or whatever? There would just be no way to kill anyone. PvP would be worthless because it would take hours to chew through however many sets of armor they have access to, plus whatever they have in their ender chest. It would be 10 times worse. So in a lot of ways, I'm grateful that 1.9 Crystal PvP really destroyed the PvP meta as it was. Because in all honesty, the PvP meta was cancer. It needed to go. It just wasn't the sort of thing I cared to participate in. But looking back on it now, I can realize, oh yeah, it would have been terrible. Because shulker boxes would have been introduced literally later that year. Later that year, we had shulker boxes. That would have been a nightmare. There would have never been an end. You could fight someone for days, and it would just be a waste.
Yeah, imagine the fight fit versus Rusher in 1.8
No.
in 1.8.
Well, in that one, I think they intentionally kind of
yes,
limited
that's
it.
true. Yeah, they had only 2
So
armor
they
sets.
weren't really like they could have made it last longer, sure, but they intentionally, because they both agreed to that fight, they both intentionally made it not last very long. So that fight's not a good example of real hardcore PvP from pre 1.9. But, and see, the other thing is, a lot of the people who liked 1.7 and 1.8 PvP, they play a limited set. They aren't playing with maximum diamond armor, 15 stacks of gold apples, 50 sets of armor. Like, they're not playing that. But hardcore PvP on 2b2t and 1.8, that is exactly what you were worried about. Does my opponent have more sets of armor than me? God apples were never an issue. You were always going to have 2 or 3 stacks. Your opponent was always going to have that many. It was always down to, do I have more sets of boots and helmets? Am I going to last? Well, it's going to take me 2 hours to find out. So I better sit here and wail on them, because otherwise, whatever. It took 5 people to kill 1 person quickly back then. It was awful.
On Discord, your username isn't Jack the Ripper, it's Akashina.
Yes.
Where does this name come from? It's a question from Bomb Knight.
It was I still somewhat browse 4chan, but I used to browse 4chan a lot back in the day. And on the anime and manga board, people would discuss a lot of, anime and manga and things. And so it was just from an old manga, I believe, and it was a name that stuck with me and I really liked it, so I started using it. I couldn't tell you when I saw it. It was too many years ago. And I initially did actually make Jack the Ripper as my initial Discord. And then I somehow lost the password to it. And so I just said, fuck it, I'll make a new one. And so in 2016, late 2016, I did, and that was the one I had contact with everybody in, and then I just kept using. And so here we are.
This question is from a player that told me that he preferred to remain anonymous.
Okay.
What's the full name of the land?
It's the lands of